For the last 20 years, MS Swaminathan Research Foundation in Wayanad has been rendering peerless service to the people of Wayanad in imparting knowledge on biodiversity conservation efforts as well as eco-friendly sustainable farming practices. Through integrated biodiversity conservation methods, in situ, ex situ and on-farm, MSSRF takes measures to capacitate the local community to mitigate and adapt to climate change and to promote the food, nutrition and health security.
I am extremely happy that at the Community Agro-Biodiversity Center at Wayanad, Kalpetta, a botanical garden is going to come up. This will be a unique garden which will try to preserve for posterity rare and endangered threatened species. It will also contain a section on biofortified crops which will combine nutrition and agriculture. Therefore, it will be an educational tool. It will be a tool for fighting the cause of malnutrition, eradicating malnutrition of our country.
Nearly 2 decades of MSSRF's work on biodiversity resulted in collection and conservation of many endangered plant species and little-known species with high ecological value of Western Ghats.
This is a very special plant of Western Ghats. This is thought to be extinct according to the Red Data book of IUCN. We have rediscovered this plant after 140 years from Kurichirmala in Wayanad district.
The idea of conserving biodiversity, particularly in the context of agricultural biodiversity, was ahead of its time. India did not have a Biodiversity Act in place, which of course came later. Similarly, today, in the context of climate change, we have to look ahead to the generations ahead, and we want to expand the scope of this botanic garden as a biodiversity garden, as a center where we can not only conserve the species of this region of the Western Ghats, but also a center for research.
Through a network of custodian farmers of Wayanad district, there are over 200 traditionally cultivated crop varieties, mostly food crops, more than 200 rare, endemic and threatened plant species, and over 600 species of ethno-medicinal plants conserved in the district. MSSRF established a Community Agro-Biodiversity Center (CABC) in 1997 at Wayanad on the ancestral land of Professor MS Swaminathan. In 2010, the foundation in the heart of the biodiversity hotspot expanded from 5 hectares to about 17 hectares, mainstreaming the agro-biodiversity in agriculture and rural development through the application of appropriate science and technology. The ex situ conservation of the plant species from forest, wilderness to on-farm and have brought in the form of a botanical garden, MS Swaminathan Botanical Garden, with distinct components for biodiversity, medicinal plants, rare, endemic and threatened species of trees, shade, coffee plantations and so on. Unlike conventional botanical gardens, MSSBG strikes a balance between wild and cultivated plant species. Perhaps this is the only garden in the region that demonstrates the idea of integrated botanical garden, where species are actively conserved through the farmer-scientist settings.
ഞാൻ ഈ സ്വാമിനാഥൻ ഫൗണ്ടേഷനുമായിട്ട് 2010 മുതലുള്ള ഒരു ബന്ധമാണ്. കാരണം ഞാനൊരു കൃഷിക്കാരിയാണെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ജോലിയൊക്കെ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന സമയത്താണ് ഞാൻ ഇതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെടുന്നത്. ഇവിടെ വന്ന ഒരുപാട് ട്രെയിനിങ് എനിക്ക് കിട്ടി, ശാസ്ത്രീയ രീതിയിലുള്ള ട്രെയിനിങ്ങും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഗാർഡനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളും. ഈ സ്വാമിനാഥൻ ഫൗണ്ടേഷനിൽ ഒരുപാട് ട്രെയിനിങ് ക്ലാസ്സുകളൊക്കെ നടക്കാറുണ്ട്.
MSSBG is a member garden of the Botanical Garden Conservation International and one of the lead gardens promoted by the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India for conserving RET plants of Western Ghats.
The beginning is
Then just try to.
In the garden, a total of 2033 live plant species have now been conserved, of which about 200 are rare tree species, 512 species endemic to Western Ghats, and 579 species falling under IUCN's Threatened Plant Species category.
ഇനി നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് കാണാനുള്ളത് ഇവിടുത്തെ മെഡിസിനൽ പ്ലാന്റ്സും നഴ്സറിയും ഒക്കെയാണ്. അവിടെ ഒരു നഴ്സറി ഉണ്ട്, ഗ്രീൻ ഹൗസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഇനി ഇവിടെ കാണാനുള്ളത് മെഡിസിനൽ പ്ലാന്റ്സിൻ്റെ
MSSBG serves as a knowledge center for the community. General public, farmers, research scholars and students flock at MSSBG to learn host of things related to agrobiodiversity.
പ്രകൃതി എന്താണെന്ന് കുറിച്ചാൽ ആദ്യം പറയും. കുറേ മരങ്ങളുണ്ട്, ചെടികളുണ്ടെന്ന്. അതിന് ശരിയായൊരു ഉത്തരം കിട്ടിയത് അത് മനുഷ്യനിർമ്മിതമല്ല എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഉത്തരമാണ് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇവിടുന്ന് കിട്ടിയത്.
The garden is home to different species of birds and butterflies.
ഈ 41 ഏക്കറിൽ ഇത്തിൽക്കണ്ണി കുരുവി എന്ന ചെറിയ പക്ഷിയെ തൊട്ട് വലിയ പക്ഷിയായ ബ്ലാക്ക് ഈഗിളിനെ വരെ നമുക്ക് ധാരാളമായിട്ട് കാണാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഒരു സ്ഥലമാണത്. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ജെറിഡൻസ് ബാസ എൻഡമിക് സ്പീഷീസാണ്. അതിന് ഈ പ്രദേശത്ത് നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയുന്നുണ്ട്. ബോണലി സീകൾ, അതേപോലെ മലബാർ വിസിലിംഗ് ത്രഷ് എന്നൊക്കെ പക്ഷികളെ നമുക്കിവിടെ കാണാൻ കഴിയുന്ന പക്ഷികളാണ്.
Another major attraction in MSSBG is the medicinal plant garden. Over 500 species of medicinal plants are conserved in this garden and shade net houses. Arboretum with 400 individual mature trees belong to 250 species, orchidarium with 75 species of epiphyte, aquatic zone with 30 species of aquatic plants, fernery with 72 species of ferns, and separate area earmarked for conservation of yams and taros attribute to the richness of MSSBG.
Most importantly, I think, to work with the communities here, the farming communities, the tribal communities of Wayanad, who are actually in the front line in terms of living in these environments and experiencing the physical and climatic effects of change over time.
MSSRF now wants to expand the scope and reach of this garden into the level of internationally renowned garden to save, study and sustainably use the biodiversity of Malabar region of India. Dr. Sharada Krishnan, Director of Horticulture and Center for Global Initiatives at Denver Botanical Gardens, has designed a master plan. The scope of this new phase of MSSBG is on scientific research, education and recreation. To sum up, the MSSBG is a priceless arena of diverse gene pool that holds power and potential to sustain life for years to come. A treasure that nothing else can substitute for ever.